I was about to start this video, but now I think we need to make some tea. So let's go make tea. You might know me from a TikTok where I basically spoofed a day in my life at the Disney College program, and I basically just pointed out all the things that kind of suck about it.
Day in my life on my Disney College program.
Yeah, that video got some backlash from the Disney people, which I had a lot to say about why I left my program. We're gonna just start with the main reason. I'm gonna kind of break this down into finances, the people, the environment, and then like my main reason why I left. And I also already filmed this, but my camera's HDR setting was on while I was filming and it just ruined all the footage. So the main reason that I left Disney, I have celiac disease. If you don't know what that is, it's an autoimmune disease that essentially if you ingest gluten, you're around it, you're handling it, your autoimmune system attacks your small intestine and just destroys the villi inside of it. Very fun, leads to cancer and other various things if you're exposed to gluten. It's also an inflammatory disease. I have very inflamed joints, lots of pain. I joined the Disney College program in June of 2021, and I was the second week of arrivals, so I think I was June 21st. So it was right after they had just started the program up again. They had just built flamingo crossings, and so a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to attribute to the fact that they had just started the program again, so I'm going to give them like a little bit of leniency for being bad at what they did. So I had submitted my accommodation paperwork for my disease and my disability about 3 weeks before I left. Basically, I was like, I can't work with food. I have really bad inflammation in my joints, so basically if I can not work outside, that would probably be for the best. First place that they gave me as a job was in food and beverage. So I called my advocate and I was like, listen, I can't work food and beverage. And she was like,
oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
I was put at Galaxy's Edge at the cantina, so that's even like worse because I'm pretty sure they serve like beer and stuff there, which is just like drinkable gluten. She was like, oh,
don't worry, like I'll find you something else.
And I was like, okay, perfect. Then she tells me that I'm going to be working at an attraction in Tomorrowland. And I was like, okay, cool. But you don't get to know what attraction it is until the day that you are there for your first like training. I had no idea what attraction I would be put at Tomorrowland. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I get to my like first day of training and I was put at Speedway. And if you don't know what Speedway is, it's basically just this big go-kart track. It's kind of a nightmare spot to be in, at least in my opinion. I don't know, maybe there's people who love the smell of gasoline and the hot 90-degree sun on their backs. It was a nightmare for me. I worked maybe like two training days at Speedway, and let me tell you, they test the people who go into custodial to make sure that they're like strong enough to be able to do custodial. I don't know why they don't have that testing for Speedway. There is a gas pump because you have to fill up all the cars. It's a part of like the opening routine and everything. You have to fill up all the cars, and there is this gas pump system where you have to like pull the cord of like the pump, and it has like these little like notches, so like hits a notch, it keeps going, it hits a notch, it keeps going. It is so hard to pull this gas thing out. You have to have 2 people doing it. So it was me and this other girl, and she was even smaller than I am. You have to have, it's kind of like when you're a firefighter is like putting out a fire and there's 2 people on the hose because it's so huge. It's like that, except you're pulling it. You have to like heave your whole body into it and pull it and have someone else holding it, because if it doesn't hit like one of the notches as it's spinning and you like lose your grip, it will just swing all the way back and retract, and that like metal end of like the nozzle will just slap whoever is in the way. Very hard, very dangerous. And then on top of that, you're sitting out on blacktop all day in the sun. I would go home and my joints would be so inflamed and so painful. I think on my 3rd day of training, I went to my leader and I was like, listen, this is not working with my accommodations at all. I don't know why I was placed here. They're like,
okay, well, we'll get in touch with your like accommodations advocate and we'll go from there.
Okay, so they sent me home. They just sent me home for an indefinite amount of time, so I just had to be paying for flamingo crossings and everything just straight out of pocket. And I didn't have any money because I was supposed to be working and I wasn't. So I was paying $215 a week to live at Flamingo, and I had no money, and I had to keep borrowing money from my husband just to like stay afloat. And they would not tell me when I was coming back or when I was going to be working again. So I decided to leave because it had already been like a week and a half, and I was like freaking out because I could not pay like $400 and something to keep living there waiting for them to give me a new job. And I went down to the office and I self-termed, and when I was self-terming, there was another girl there who was also having issues with her accommodations and was like freaking out. I'm not gonna lie, she was kind of being a little snarky about it. She was like freaking out at the office people, being like,
why aren't my accommodations going through? Like, why hasn't anyone contacted me? Like, what is going on?
I've heard that there was like a lot of problems with people and accommodations. I told them I'm gonna leave. They give you 24 hours to pack up and you leave. And that's it. And you turn in your blue ID and everything, and they basically just strip you of your whole Disney identity, and then you just leave. When I was on my way home, I hadn't even made it out of Florida yet. They had sent me my new job. Like, they just had to rub salt into the wound. They sent me my new job, and it was in merch, so it would have like worked out. I always see it as they kind of like forced me into self-terming, because unless you went down there with like a lot of savings or like some kind of like secondary income or passive income source, you're just screwed. The only other option is that you could tell Flamingo that you don't have a job currently, and they'll just like hold off on your payments, but then you would see absolutely none of your paychecks. You would just have $0 paychecks, which is a thing that can happen to you. That is the main reason that I left, was because I didn't have a job. Now we'll get into the finances of the Disney College program. Like I said earlier, if you don't have a secondary or passive income source, it is going to be very hard to survive on the program, because after you pay your rent, I think like the lowest rent is like $165 for like the 2x2. After your rent, you are going to have like $50 to live off of for like a week. If you're like me and you have a autoimmune disease or like celiac disease where you have like a very special diet that you have to be following, $50 is not enough. And if you have car payments, insurance, phone bill, anything like that, it is really hard to live. And I know that there are some people who make it work. They're like,
I eat ramen noodles every single day, and you guys just don't understand the grind. It's not that bad. You guys just don't know how to budget.
a lot of those people are getting money from their parents or a secondary income source or something, because there's no way. There's no way. When you join the program, you have to pay $425. When I went, it was only $415, but it is now $425 just to join the program, which rubs me the wrong way, because you're essentially paying to work for someone, which doesn't make any sense to me. I understand that some of it is like, it's kind of like a deposit-y kind of thing. It pays for like your first week at Flamingo Crossing or whatever, but it's weird that you're paying to work full-time for someone. This is like the only place that I know that you're doing that. And like, you could argue that it's a great resume builder or whatever, but like, if you're looking at it like that, like it's an internship, you still usually don't pay for an internship. And I would understand the program fee if they were providing a meal plan with it, or if they're treating it more like a college dorm situation, but they're not. They're basically treating you guys like you're full-grown adults with your own apartment, but they're restricting all of your freedom as a full-grown adult. It's very like wishy-washy on, you guys need to be adults and you guys can't have people over past 10. It's very confusing. It's just, there's not a good balance. It's either we are fully under the program, we're college students, like we're being treated like we're living in dorms, or you guys are working for Disney and you guys are paying for your own apartments. It's just, there's no balance. It's very wishy-washy. You no longer know your location or anything. You only know your job, your role. You only know your role before, like a week before you leave. And you have only 1 week from the time that you accept your offer to pay the program fee. So you just have to come up with $425 like instantaneously without even knowing what you're going to be doing. So you're basically signing up to be like, yeah, and if I don't like my job and I decide to withdraw from the program, you guys just make $425 off of me, which is just, it's kind of like sneaky. I don't know. It just seems kind of like messed up. Because I know that before this new style of the program, you did know your role and your location earlier. Everything is very like concise, small. You don't even have time to like process what's going on before you're already like in Florida. You're trying to check into Flamingo, and it's just very chaotic that like week that you find out your role. I don't like the program fee. I think it's really, really ridiculous. Okay, so next I'm moving on to the people. I thought that everyone on the program would be so nice because all you see are like roommate surveys on like the Facebook groups and everything, and it's always people with like perfect smiles and they're wearing their ears, they're at DisneyWorld, they look so nice and so fun. I know this is like kind of mean to say. People are a little arrogant on the program. Just a little bit. People are a little arrogant. You meet a lot of people with really big personalities and they're not always nice. I remember, this is so embarrassing. I was on my program and I was walking around Flamingo. There was some event going on and I said hello to like a group of people and they literally gave me the up and down. They were like, and didn't say anything and walked away. It's crazy. It's a lot like high school. You're gonna see a lot of vloggers and social media influencers. It makes it hard to make friends, like actual friends, because it's hard to differentiate between people who are genuinely invested in your friendship and people who want people for content. For instance, a vlogger. They kind of want to have a lot of the friends that go to the parks with them so that they have more content for their vlogs and fun people to vlog with or whatever. Social media influencers, it's hard to differentiate between them wanting a friend or them wanting a personal photographer in the parks. It's really hard to tell who's actually being genuine and who's trying to be a content creator, which is a little frustrating because you can do both. You can make content and be a good friend and a good person. Neighbors. Oh my God. We had a building group chat. There were these girls who lived below us who were always trying to start with us in the group chat. Because there was some loud person in our building. No one really knew who it was. They would purposely be like,
4211, it's you guys. You guys are the loud ones. You guys need to shut up.
And she sent this message at 7 a.m. None of us were even up at all. And she was just like ripping into us saying that we were stomping, that we were like shouting, that we were singing or something like that. And none of us were even awake, which I found out my theory for why they specifically kept having issues. They had the garbages on both sides of their apartment. So that means that people are slamming doors, getting into the garbages, and then they have like a garage door so that the people who take the garbages can get in and out. I'm pretty sure that's what they were hearing. But they just kept getting angry at us, saying it was us. And it was not. We were usually asleep by the time that they were freaking out. Also, my neighbors below us, I know that there was like a whole drama thing that happened with them where one girl was like threatening to like beat out of the other girl. It was like a whole ordeal. I don't really know about it, but that's as much as I knew about it. There was also a Discord server, and I know that there was like a guy on it who was like sexually harassing the other CPs. He got kicked out for it. That was another fun thing. Also on the Facebook, people will complain all the time about noise. They'll be like,
you guys need to stop having parties. You guys need to shut up. You guys need to be respectful of us who work at 3 a.m.
Totally fine. It's totally valid to be concerned about something like that, but like, what does complaining on Facebook do? Nothing, just rouse a bunch of people up. So this is just like the lifestyle. You have to know someone with a car unless you bring your own, because I believe, especially if you're like me, once again, you have a specialty diet. It's only one bus that goes to Walmart or Target. So if you have like a specialty diet, you're just screwed, and you have to like, your whole life and schedule is contingent on whether or not your roommate or someone you know with a car is going somewhere. That's always a problem for people. Some people feel used for their car, and then some people feel bad because they have to use someone for their car. And then every week on Monday for like a few weeks, there'll be new CP arrivals. So if you need to go shopping, you will not be able to go shopping on Mondays because there is literally a line that stretches all the way to the Target. So you have to like really plan your schedule around people moving in. And it's like the subsequent like 3 days after that Monday, honestly, that like it is extremely busy trying to get anywhere because of the CPs that just came. Roommates. I had really great roommates. I had another roommate who had celiac disease, but it becomes very hard to live safely when you have celiac disease in a shared kitchen. It is very hard to avoid cross-contamination. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically like if someone were to make like a bagel or toast or something and they left crumbs on the counter, that's dangerous for me and for my roommate. It was very hard because you have one sink, you have one dishwasher. Inevitably, you're gonna have to wash all of your guys' stuff together. And it's not anyone's fault if they cross-contaminate on accident because it's not their job to be completely up to date with my disease and what I need them to do. If someone like pours like ramen noodles down the sink and it gets on my dishes or whatever. So I was getting sick quite often, and there's no option for people with like disabilities or anything else to live alone or to live like off the campus. It's not really a campus, but to live away from Flamingo Crossing, which is a huge downside if you have any problems like I do. But other than that, sharing like a living space wasn't that bad for me because I was living in a 4x4. I have no say in what it's like for a 2x2. I have heard some nightmarish stories about living in the 2x2s though. I was kind of like always in my room though because I'm kind of antisocial and I just need my time to like recharge. And let me tell you, when you work at Disney World, you need that time to recharge really bad. As a CP, you're basically like the lowest tier employee at Disney World, and a lot of people will treat you kind of badly for it. They kind of treat CPs like we're all like spoiled and that we're just on like some big vacation. So you kind of get treated a little estranged from the part-time and full-time cast members. I also was not making 40 hours a week, and I don't think anyone was being scheduled 40 hours a week unless you were like in food and beverage. So I was only getting 32 hours, and I know a lot of other people were, which a lot of people just tell you
pick up shifts.
But I worked at an attraction at the time, so I was not trained for other things. In general, I would say my experience there, I was super depressed. First off, I was there during hurricane season, so it was constantly raining. It wasn't like I was in sunny Florida and I could just go to the lake, sorry, I'm a Minnesotan if you can't tell. Go to the ocean, go to the beach. I couldn't just go to the beach. I couldn't go outside and go to the pool or whatever, relax around like the common areas of Flamingo. I was basically just like estranged into my room all day with rainy, scary weather. Like I said earlier, I tried making friends with people. People just don't want to be friends with random people, I guess. That or I have a really scary face. And obviously you have very different schedules from your roommates, so I very rarely got to spend any time with them. And that was like a huge part in my decision as well. I hope this didn't like deter anyone. Like I hope this wasn't like the last straw and like you're gonna cancel your program or you're like, ugh, what a bummer. 'Cause I'm not trying to be a bummer, I'm just trying to be realistic and talk about my experience. If you decide to do the program, I hope for the best for all of you. I hope that you have a way better experience than me, because I really do think some people can make it work and they will have an amazing time. This was very long-winded and I'd been putting it off forever. So, cheers.